The mindset you need to be in is, there is absolutely no pressure for me to be here. I don't need to be here to look good. I don't need to be here because I need to change my body. The issue wasn't the way I looked. The issue wasn't the lack of the time that I did spend in the gym. Maybe you didn't go to the gym when you were in a relationship. I don't need to look different to be okay. I don't need to be skinnier to be worthy. I need to be here because I'm going through something traumatic. I need to be getting my steps in because the pain is completely crippling me. I need to be moving my body to keep my mind sane. The pressure to glow up comes from within. It's coming from you. You are the pressure. Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Coming Up for Air with myself, Lou. I hope we're all okay. I've been chatting with so many of you guys this week. If you have talked to me this week, I really appreciate you getting in touch and carrying on the conversation with me. I have made a really conscious effort to speak to a lot more of my followers, because I think when I follow big creators, I don't expect them to message me back. Sometimes I'll message podcasts that I listen to, and sometimes I'll message like bigger creators and stuff. And when they reply, I'm like, oh my God, they actually saw my message. But then when I get messages that say, I don't know whether you're going to see this, or you might not reply, I think, why would they think that? Why would they think that I'm not going to reply? But I do it myself, so I totally understand why people don't reach out and message me, because they think I'm not going to reply. But I might take a week to reply. I might take longer than that. But I always try and reply to all my DMs and make sure that everybody gets a reply, because the whole reason why I started my online presence was purely to help people. I think I've said before, even when I had my running account, I wanted to inspire people to run. I've always wanted to inspire people to do better or be better or feel better about themselves. So if you are on the fence about messaging me and you think, oh, she's not going to reply, or like my message is going to seem silly, or I got a message the other day that was like, I was in a 3-month relationship and I've just started listening to your podcast and I had no idea that your relationship went on for 14 years and now I feel silly. It doesn't matter. If you feel like you need help, then reach out to me. That's why I am online and do what I do. I always will exchange a couple of messages with everybody. I then try and push them over to my Patreon. Is there, it's secure. I can share more personal things over there because I feel more protected. And I think that's kind of like the way that people go. They'll chat to me and then they'll say, have you done an episode on this? And it will be like a really personal subject, which is fine because I open up about pretty much everything that I can do online. And 9 times out of 10, I've got an episode on my Patreon about it. So I do kind of direct everybody who needs a little bit more help over there. So if you do need more help, or you're thinking about messaging me, one, always message me, always come into my DMs. My DMs are always open. Do that. And if you feel like you want to listen to more personal content, more deeper subjects, and you don't want to reach out, but you think, oh, I wonder if she's covered that, then head on over to my Patreon. You can have a look at the episode, sign yourself up. You might find that there's an episode on there that really speaks to you. And then you might find that there are episodes that don't really relate to your breakup. So you can come have a little listen. You don't have to stay around if you don't want to. But I just prefer talking to people over there because, like I said, you are protected. I can see who's signing up. You have to be a real person. I can see the email addresses. On Instagram, it's very, very easy to hide behind a fake profile. And I obviously always say I don't talk about the hate because I don't want to put that into the universe, but I do get a lot of messages that people have just listened to a snippet of my Instagram reels, or like saw me crying on the internet, or they've listened to like a small little clip of one of my episodes and they send me quite vile messages. I have also got onto TikTok this week, so I had a bit of a TikTok hiatus. I didn't know how I wanted my content to go. I didn't know what direction I was going in. And online, when you listen to like the creator gurus, they always say pick a platform to grow on. And I picked 2. And so it is quite hard. I now obviously have my YouTube, so I have 3 platforms that I'm trying to grow. It is quite difficult, but my TikTok just needed to have a little rest. I was posting twice a day. In fact, no, I was posting 3 times a day, I think. And I've grown a following that now I want to, again, interact with. So there's going to be a lot more interaction on my TikTok, a lot more face to camera, a lot more like FaceTime sort of episodes, and just I want to really open up over there as well. I went back onto my TikTok and I went through all of the DMs that a majority of them were spam. A majority of them were the sugar daddies, the fake sugar daddies saying like, if I deposited £7,000 into your bank account tomorrow, well, what would you spend it on? And I haven't been able to catch up on my comments. I haven't posted since I think October. So I haven't been able to catch up on the comments, which is annoying, but it was a choice that I made. I needed to come off of it. I needed to have a little bit of a break. I needed to focus on my Instagram. I had a goal with my Instagram. I hit 50k, and now I feel like I'm a little bit more in control of like my posting schedule and all the rest. Anyway, so I have posted a few new videos on there, got chatting with more people over there, starting a conversation. And I was at my mum's house last night, and my eldest niece went to her first PGL trip, and oh my God, she looked in the photo of her on her own, she looked about 12 years old going for her first school trip with her snazzy, iridescent, colourful sleeping bag. And then my brother put into the group family chat a picture of her next to her friend, and she looks about 5 years old. She is the second smallest in her class, as she tells me. She's the second smallest in her class. She's so short. I'm 5'9". She must get her height from my sister-in-law, because it cannot be our family, because my family are quite tall. But she is a dot. I'm pretty sure that my smallest niece is going to be as tall as her soon. Anyway, it makes her a phenomenal dancer and an amazing gymnast. So whatever. She's small, but she's very good at the things that she enjoys. Anyway, so I was catching up with her, I was catching up with a 7-year-old last night while she was showering. And we were just chatting, and she said, Auntie Liz, can you put on some music? And I was like, yeah. So popped on some music. Looked down at my phone, and I had a notification of somebody that had messaged me on TikTok saying, he messaged me in 2024, and I must have missed it. And I just must have completely missed the message, which is really easy to do when you have a large following, because TikTok will categorize certain words into spam. And he had used quite heavy buzzwords like narcissist and domestic violence. And a lot of these things are picked up by TikTok and they're put into a different file. Anyway, his second message to me that came through yesterday was a horrible message, but had no buzzwords in, so it came through to my inbox. And it was like, you claim to be the master of everything, the master of breakups, yet you ignore your DMs, blah, 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 blah. And I thought, this guy has sat for 2 years. 2 years. He messaged me the first time in 2024. He sat for 2 years and decided to message me again. So I went back and I was really polite, and I just said, sorry for missing your first message. It's really easy when you have a big following. And in 2024, I was kind of already just finding my feet with TikTok. And so I didn't have a routine in place to go through my DMs, to go through the comments. I hadn't mastered replying yet. I got a really horrible message off of him. So I replied really nicely, and then I thought I could block him, but does that just gonna rile him up even more? It's hard, because in amongst all the nice messages, I do still get hate, and I find it really easy to block out the hate. I do. I don't know why, I just do. But sometimes they do get to me, because I think I'm trying my best here. I'm juggling 1,000 things and trying to reply to people. And so when people say to me oh, why do you direct people over to your Patreon? It's so everybody's in one place as well. And it makes life easier for me, because I'm not just replying back, hey, so sorry that you're going through this. I'm really sorry, you'll get through it. I like listening to people's stories and trying to form a rapport with them and trying to get them to trust me. And I guess, in a way, kind of a little bit like your therapist, doesn't he? Therapy. Anyway, I'm back on TikTok. So if you've come here from TikTok, or you're on TikTok and you don't follow me on TikTok, I'm back on TikTok. But yeah, apart from my niece going to PGL and me wanting to sob because she looked so old, not a lot is going on in my personal life at the moment, because I'm working every hour that God sends, to be quite honest. My friend texted me saying, have we got any plans on Friday? And do you know what I wanted to turn around and say to him? I just want to stay in with the chicken kebab and chips from gluten-free chips from the fish and chip shop, and I just want to have a night off where I'm not working and I'm not editing and I'm not replying to DMs and I'm not making posts and stuff. And don't get me wrong, I chose this life, but it can be quite full on. So aware that my debriefs have gone from like, I'm going out, I'm doing this, to I'm working all the time. I said 2026 was going to be a big year for me, and everything is kind of working towards the main goal of me being able to move temporarily out of the UK and work from a different country and be secure in this being my full-time income. And it's hard. It is bloody hard. But I don't know whether, I'm just brainstorming here, just going off on a tangent, but like, I don't know whether to start sort of creating content that also proves that you can do this, because I have built a following and I've done it all on my own. So I don't know, let me know your thoughts on that. If you would like to hear about how I got into content creation, and if you think that you'd be interested. I mean, mine wasn't a quick fix. Actually, tell a lie, my TikTok was. I grew over 100,000 followers in a year. That was wild to me. But my Instagram, not so much. It's really hard to grow on Instagram, and you do lose the will to live. Like, I am losing the will to live on Instagram a little bit because they keep changing their algorithm and it's really hard to create content. They are telling you that they are telling you how to create content, and they're not. They're just making it harder and harder and harder for you to grow. So yeah, let me know if you think that this would be like a good segment maybe to go off in a little diverted route on how I landed in content creation and how I've grown in content creation. It could be useful for someone, who knows. Anyway, on the subject topic of interacting with you all, I put out a little poll in the week on my Instagram asking you what you wanted to hear, see, know about my breakup on the podcast, on my Patreon, and I'm always asking for episode recommendations. I know how I want my content to go. I know the angle that I want it to go in. And so sometimes I take everybody's comments on board and I will do the best that I can to talk about topics that have been raised. And one of them that kept coming up was the post-breakup glow up. And it was like, how have you grown up? How did you glow up? Can you do what you eat in a day? Can you post your gym schedule? Can you post your workout playlists? Like, how did you get over the pressure? And a lot of stuff was stemming around this post-breakup glow-up sort of topic of conversation. Now, I've already done an episode about not getting a revenge body, getting a revenge mind. I did that quite early on, and I go into a lot of detail about how to work on your mind, how to make sure that you are not getting like engulfed with this, like, you need to be hot, you need to be skinny, you need to change your hair, you need to do this, you need to do that. Because like I always say, when you go through a breakup, you do go through a complete identity crisis. Like, we're talking 2007 Britney, umbrella through the window, shaving her head. Like, you do go through a huge identity crisis. And I talk about it a lot, so I'm not going to talk about that today. But the pressure to have a glow up is so huge and so unnecessary. And the narrative that's like, get thinner, get hotter, get more toned, get revenge, like regret, make them regret what they've lost. Make them regret walking away from you. Whilst growth after heartbreak is huge, you go through so much growth and it's amazing and it's beautiful and you learn so much about yourself and about how you handle situations, and that's like the greatest part of going through a breakup. I think we do need to question where the pressure is coming from, why there's so much pressure to have a glow up after you've gone through one of the most traumatic experiences of your whole entire life. And I think the main question here, and the main question that you need to be asking yourself is, why? Why do you feel the need to glow up? And yes, people could turn around and say, like, well, it's the pressure of everybody else. However, why? Why are you feeling the pressure from everybody else? I think that's what you need to focus on here. It's not like, why am I not glowing up? How am I going to glow up? Why do I feel the pressure to glow up? Because very, very rarely it has something to do with the fact that your ex has left, and a lot more about what happened during the relationship, what happened pre-relationship, like to do with your confidence. And so I wanted to do an episode on this, one, because it was so popular, loads and loads of people. I think there was about 100 people that come back to me and said, like, Lou, like, I'm really feeling the pressure to like have a glow up, like, and people complimenting me and saying, like, you've changed so much. And I really haven't. The only thing that I've really drastically changed was my hair. It's my confidence, and I know that like, if you listen to one of like a couple of my first episodes, or look at my first ever reels that I posted about my breakup, and listen to me now and how I talk about myself now and how I talk online now, there is a huge difference, and it has been nothing to do with my appearance. It's everything to do with my confidence. So I'm going to come at this episode in a different way. I'm not going to tell you that you need to get revenge. I'm not going to tell you that you need to prove something to somebody else. I'm not going to tell you that you need to become somebody else. I'm going to explain where this pressure comes from and hopefully change your mind and make you address the glow up differently. Because like I said, why? And I want you to hold that question in your mind throughout this whole episode. Why do you feel like you need to change your face, change your hair, change your body, change your hobbies? Why? So just have a little think about that whilst I get into the episode. So without further ado, guys, let's get into it. So I'm going to start off with, I'm not attacking myself, but like being self-aware. The internet and people and small towns love a glow-up story. They love a breakup glow-up story. If they didn't, I wouldn't be doing what I was doing, because I posted my transformation online of how I got through my breakup, and that has prompted people to follow me to do the same. So I understand that people love a glow up story, and when somebody gets left, and when you are the person that gets left, people are thrilled when you emerge better. And what people forget is the better part can mean anything. And the better part will be you looking happier, you maybe visibly looking a little bit fitter, maybe you've got new hair, new clothes, a new style, or you're with a new group of people. So when you feel better and people go, oh my God, you look amazing, they comment on your physical appearance because it's visible and it's easy to applaud. It's easy to say. And I'm not being funny, but the amount of change that a little bit of fake tan, putting a brush through your hair, getting a blow dry, or putting a bit of makeup on and going out into the big wide world and bumping into people who are like mutual friends, knew you when you were with your ex and maybe haven't seen you for a while since you've broken up, it's very, very easily for people to be like, she looks great or he looks great, very, very easily. However, the invisible healing, the boundaries, the growth, the emotional maturity, the peace, the self-worth, they are the things that do not get photographed. They don't get commented on. They don't get seen, because I very, very, very highly doubt it that you've gone into your local shop, pub, cafe, restaurant, bumped into somebody that you've not seen for a while since you've gone through your breakup, and they've gone, oh my God, you can tell you've created so many boundaries. You have completely learned how to calm your nervous system. You can just tell. No, people don't say that. That'd be weird. People say like, oh my God, you've lost weight. Or, oh my God, you look great. Or your hair looks great. Or, oh, your new colour looks good. Or you look tanned. People comment on the physical appearance, and that is not people bashing. I'm not saying people shouldn't say that. But then it engulfs you because you're like, I'm glowing up. Or whatever I've done differently to my appearance means that I've had a glow up. But deep down, you could be fighting for your life. Let me tell you, I've got a video on my phone. I went to a Mexican party. I don't know whether I've ever told this story. I think I might have done. I went to a Mexican party. I was going to Crufts the next day with my ex because we were trying to, in a weird way, like salvage our relationship. I know now that it was just kind of like him not being able to fully like stick the knife in and say, I'm off. I'm gone. I don't want to go to Crufts because don't want to talk about having a dog with you because don't actually want to stick around. Didn't know that at the time because he was like, yeah, let's still go to Crufts. We've got the tickets. Great. Anyway, the night before I went to a Mexican party and I just thought I need to do this for myself. I need to go see my friends. I'm not going to be drinking, but I'm going to go and show my face because this was about 3 or 4 weeks after my ex left and I just needed to get out of the house. And I thought I can go put on a brave face and everything will be fine. I won't be drinking, so whatever. So I went to this Mexican party and I got completely dressed up. I faked tanned. I was obviously still in a state of shock. So I don't think anything had really hit me. And to be quite honest, I thought my ex just wanted space. So to me, I wasn't going through a breakup. I was just having space from somebody. And for the amount of time that we'd been together, for everything that we were going to go through that year, getting married and stuff, I just thought, maybe just showing a bit of a wobble, just needs to go and clear his head. So at this time and at this point, I was all right-ish. Anyway, went to this party, dressed up, got all dressed up. I did not look like my ex had just left me after 14 years of a relationship and was fighting for my life. I had my engagement ring on. I'm happy as Larry. There is a video of me with a pair of sunglasses on and I'm sat on my best friend's bed and I am laughing my head off. I do not look like I'm going through a breakup. I do not look like I'm fighting for my life. I looked like I was fighting for my life behind closed doors. Everyone's seen what I look like fighting for my life because I chose to share it online. I chose to show up online with my talk therapy videos. I chose to show up online showing me at my lowest. If I hadn't have posted that online, no one would have seen me at my lowest. I don't think I physically changed, really. After my breakup, my hair colour changed, but that was it. I didn't do anything drastic, really. And the right people will say to you, oh my God, you look so much happier. Not like, oh my God, you look great, you look skinny, you look toned, you look this, you look that. And when I look back on that video, I think no wonder people didn't realise I was having a bad time. Because I look like I'm just going to a party. I look okay. And I think one of the problems is that society will often praise appearance shifts more than your internal growth because, like I said, you can't see your internal growth. It's on the inside. However, it does radiate out of you. When you feel more confident in yourself, it radiates through you. People will say, you've got your confidence back, or you seem so much more confident in yourself, or you seem so much more content with your life, because they're listening to what you're saying, or they're listening to how you're talking about your life. They're not just seeing you maybe look a little bit skinnier, maybe looking a little bit more muscular because, you've gone to the gym or whatever. They're not saying like, oh my God, post-breakup glow up, you look great. And it's like the post-breakup diet and all the rest of it. I hear it all the time, like the breakup's done her well, like she's got skinny. And it's so damaging. You're not going to be able to get away from it. That's just what people are like. That's, like I said, society praises just appearance shifts over internal shifts. But the right people will say the right things to you. And they're the ones that you have to listen in on. For ages, my family and my friends knew that I wasn't confident. They could just tell. And as my confidence came back, they also told me that. And that isn't to say that you were lacking anything. When I think back to how confident I was in my relationship, I can actually pinpoint where I started feeling less confident. And it was quite a long time before he left me, when I think me and my therapist have gone back to try and pinpoint the times of where like my confidence shift, because I used to be so confident. And I think it's so hard because somebody leaving you will make you feel like that is evidence that you need to change and that you need to improve on something and that something wasn't there and you could have been better. And that's not the case at all. Relationships end for so many different reasons. Relationships end because people outgrow each other. Relationships end when, you decide you've got different values. Relationships will end when the guilt catches up with them and they might have been keeping a secret, or they might have trauma or wounds from a past relationship or their childhood or whatever that might be coming to the surface. Now, you cannot predict that. You can't predict somebody going through a hard time. And that's the awful part of going through a breakup, because I always think that when you are in a relationship and someone's going through a hard time, the first person to take it out on, unfortunately, is the person that they're in a relationship with, because you're the closest to them. And so unresolved wounds is a huge reason as to why people break up. And it's so hard to not blame yourself. But because you are struggling to pinpoint a reason why your relationship ended, the first reason you go to is, well, they left me, so I must need to be better and be more attractive and get hotter to either get them back or to make sure this never happens again. So if you're sat there in that feeling, I need you to pause, because we are going to dive into this a little bit deeper now. So I think naturally when you go through a breakup, or like, I don't know, even like someone stopping texting you, or like your situationship ending. One of my friends is the world's worst for this. When someone stops texting her, or she's like stopped seeing someone, or someone's decided they don't want to see her, or she's sacked somebody off, she's like, oh, this is going to be great for the bod. At least I'll lose a few pounds because post-breakup diet and all that. And it's so true, because the minute that something ends, you have to regain control of something, because you are so out of control of it ending. So the first thing you do is hit the gym, or start eating healthily, because it's something that you can control. And I don't think people really dissect this and think about this in from a brain sort of psychology perspective. And that is what your brain is doing. It is searching for control. Going through a breakup, you are so out of control, especially if you were the one that was left, because you can't control your ex's actions. You can't control how they feel. You can't control how they react. You can't control how they love. You can't control their honesty. You can't control their actions. So you reach for the first thing you can control, and that is you. And part of the pressure comes from you, because you are trying to regain control of something in your life. And what you're actually doing is putting pressure on yourself to have this glow up that you don't actually need. And I encourage people to move their bodies after a breakup, because movement is healthy, and training is transformative and can completely change your life. Running has completely changed my life. Running a marathon has completely changed my life. Training for a marathon has completely changed my life. But that's what you have to home in on. Going to the gym might be something where you're thinking, oh my God, I need to go to the gym. Oh my God, I need to glow up. I need to go to the gym because I need to have this post-breakup glow up, and I need everybody to see how fit I am and how healthy I am. And instead of thinking it like that, because you don't need to do that, start thinking about the gym as being like a coping mechanism, because what the gym can actually do for you is give you structure in a world where right now it feels like it is upside down, back to front, all jumbled together and doesn't make any sense. The one piece of structure I had in my life when I was going through my breakup was my half marathon training. I had to get up. I knew exactly what mileage I was running per week. I knew what strength training I was doing. The routine made my life that felt so unstable that 1% more stable. And that 1% scratched that little control element in my brain where I thought, no, I am completely in control of this. It gives you the endorphins that you need when you are having a really bad day, when you are feeling sad, down, when you are feeling overwhelmed. Going to the gym and moving your body, or getting outside and walking. You don't even have to go to the gym. Getting outside and walking, taking yourself out for a run, doing an online Pilates class or doing an online HIIT class will release the endorphins that will temporarily, and it is temporarily, lift that black cloud from over your head that is making you feel so sad. And I will tell you this now, the first 10 minutes of a run when you are feeling anxious, overwhelmed, sad, angry, grieving, heartbroken, will feel like your legs feel like lead. It will feel like your brain is telling you to do absolutely everything to get out of this run. And it will be the hardest 10 minutes on your feet that you will ever experience. And that will happen every single time you go out for a run. And you might be thinking, why are you telling me this, Lou? Because this is not making me want to get up and go to the gym. I'm telling you this because once you get through that 10 minutes, you think, the endorphins are flowing now. I'm breathing all right.
Or I haven't taken controlled breaths like this for about 4 months because I've been having panic attacks and I've not been able to breathe. And like when you're at the gym, maybe like lifting heavy weights and stuff, that first 10 minutes might feel like a slog. But afterwards you realize that, oh no, my body actually can do this and I can actually perform. It will give you those endorphins that you need. And actually, if you stick to it and if you stick to like a training plan, the progress that I got from running actually made me feel like I was moving forward with my healing as well. And I might not have been. I might have taken about 1,000,001 steps back following the week of my half marathon. But at the time, to get through the day or get through the week and the month, I felt like I was actually progressing. So if you have suddenly become obsessed with the gym and fitness and being healthy, do not think that you are chasing this glow up. Do not shame yourself into thinking you are chasing a glow up. Do not think, oh my God, I need to keep doing this because it's making me like look better and people are commenting on it and this putting more pressure on myself. Do it because it is regulating the pain that you are going through. And if you don't fancy going to the gym and you do just want to go out for a walk and people go, she's got really into the gym, she's really into running, she's really into walking now, she never used to do that in a relationship, that adds more pressure because you're like, oh my God, people are now noticing and people are saying that like I'm only doing this because I want my ex back. And the worst thing someone can say, which somebody did actually say to me twice, if you did something, your ex will come back. And that is the mindset that you don't need to be in when you are in the gym. The mindset you need to be in is, there is absolutely no pressure for me to be here. I don't need to be here to look good. I don't need to be here because I need to change my body. The issue wasn't the way I looked. The issue wasn't the lack of the time that I did spend in the gym. Maybe you didn't go to the gym when you were in a relationship. I don't need to look different to be okay. I don't need to have atoned more. I don't need to be skinnier to be worthy. I need to be here because I'm going through something traumatic. I need to be getting my steps in because the pain is completely crippling me. I need to be moving my body to keep my mind sane. The pressure to glow up comes from within. It's coming from you. You are the pressure. You are telling yourself the only reason why you're in the gym is because you need to glow up, when actually you're not reminding yourself of the most important reasons why you're there. And it is to keep you sane, to be able to have a little bit more control, to be able to add structure to your life, and to have something to pour your emotion into. My God, the amount of runs that I used to come home and just get all my emotion out, sit at the bottom of the stairs, sit on the sofa, sit on the step outside my house sometimes, or on the patio in my old house. Like, I used to just sit there and sob. My neighbours must have thought I was literally like on the edge of a mental breakdown, because the runs used to be able to get out my emotion and I used it as a coping mechanism. And people were saying like, oh my God, like your ex is going to see you running and he's going to think, look what he's lost. And you need to block out that noise. And the way you block out that noise is reminding yourself of what the exercise that you're doing is bringing into your life. If you do not feel like exercising, and I've said from day one that it was like dragging a dead horse out of bed every single day to get my runs done. You do not feel like moving your body. However, when you do move your body, you feel the benefits instantly. It is an instant hit. It is the best way to get an instant high, is to move your body. To make yourself feel that 1% better, move your body. You might be thinking, Lou, this is putting more pressure on me to go to the gym. Well, again, I will argue with you and say it shouldn't be. What you should have taken from that segment. And you might be thinking, Lou, I feel even more under pressure now to go to the gym because of the way that you've said all of that. Good. Because you're going to the gym because of the mental benefits. You're going for the walk because of the mental benefits. You have completely changed your outlook on why you are moving your body. It is less or nothing to do with the aesthetics, more to do with how you're looking after your mind. And that way, the pressure comes off. And when people say like, you seem to be spending a lot of time in the gym, make sure that you are replying with, I know it's really helping me process my emotion. Not, oh yeah, I'm in the gym, post-breakup body, getting fit, Correct people. You are allowed to correct people. People think that we live in a world where we can't stand up for ourselves. We do. You have free will. You have the choice to say whatever you like back to somebody. So if someone's saying to you, oh yeah, you've got to get that post-breakup glow, you are more than entitled to go back to them and say, actually, I'm there because I'm processing one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. They will not say that to you again, trust me. I shut so many people down during my breakup that I know that people tiptoe around certain conversations with me because I've been so firm and so blunt about certain situations. You need to just be reminding yourself that in order to be able to process your breakup, you do not need to look different. In order for you to be able to actually grow from your breakup, you do not need to get in impeccable shape. Putting your body through the absolute ringer just to make yourself feel better and maybe get that hit of like, oh my God, she looks great. It's just not worth it. It is just not worth it. And this is why I said at the start of this episode that it is so easy to comment on a physical appearance because it's something that people see first. When people talk to you and the people that know you and the people who know how you carry yourself and how you approach situations, you have to be completely confident in yourself in knowing that the mental benefits of what you are doing, if you have decided to smash the gym, the mental benefits are completely outweighing the physical benefits. I think as well, like what goes hand in hand with the gym when you're like feeling the pressure to glow up is obviously to change your eating and to change your eating habits. And my therapist once said to me, like, you're eating to nourish your mind. And I was like, no, I'm eating to be skinny, or not eating to be skinny. Because I did go through a huge body battle when I was going through my breakup. Because during my relationship, I fluctuated with my weight. I had periods of times when I was skinnier. I remember during COVID when I was put on furlough, I was literally the most toned I've ever been in my whole life because I was working out for hours a day at home. Like I was like doing 3 Pilates classes a day because I was doing nothing else. And my ex had to work because he was a, worker. But like I was just at home doing Pilates and lifting weights and going for walks and going for runs. And I was the most toned I've ever been in my whole entire life. I look back on photos of myself and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I was so slim. And there was always like this sort of like thing with me that I was never body confident really. I relied on my ex to give me the confidence in my body. I have always struggled with viewing my body differently to how people perceive my body. And what I mean by that is when people say, oh my God, like, you've got a great body, you're in great shape, it goes over my head because I look at myself in the mirror and I think I could be in better shape. I've always struggled with that. I always talk quite openly but not in depth with the battles that I've had with food. I punish myself a little bit with food. I always thought I was a stress eater. Through like university, doing my finals, like writing my dissertation, I always thought I was a stress eater. But through my breakup, I went the complete opposite way. And I think it was a control element again. I was trying to control something. So I controlled my eating. And by doing that, I stopped eating. And I lost a lot of weight. And my mum said to me that everything was angular, everything was pointy. And I knew that you were training for this half marathon, but I knew that you shouldn't have looked the way that you looked. And when I went to my therapist, I was deep in the pits of hell. And she said to me, when was the last time you weighed yourself? And I said, hold on a second, Jem. We do not get on scales. I find scales very triggering. And she said, I know that this is not typically how you look. She said, you have lost weight, haven't you? And I hadn't known her very long. And I got skinnier as I was going through my breakup, like to see her. And she said, how do you feel? And I said, I feel so confident in myself. I'm a skinny girl. And I've always used to say to my ex, I want skinny legs. I want the thigh gap. I want skinny legs. Let me tell you something. My body is not built for me to have skinny legs. I run hundreds of miles a year and I do not have skinny legs. Do you know why? I'm not built that way. I have a huge bum. My bum is massive and I need legs to be able to carry that bum. And I'm tall and I have big legs. And I always wanted skinny legs. And I had skinny legs and I was putting on leggings and being able to wear t-shirts with them because my legs didn't touch at the top because I'd lost so much weight. And I felt great. And yet I was having the worst time. I was at the lowest point of my life. I didn't want to leave the house. And yet I was dying for my ex to see how skinny I was. How absolutely batshit crazy is that? I wanted him to see that I could be a skinny girl because the pressure that I was putting on myself from telling myself, if you were just skinnier, he would want to be with you. Now, his new girlfriend, we've got to stop saying that. She's not even new. She's been on the scene for 4 bloody years. His girlfriend is a very different body shape to me. Very small, very petite, very tiny. And I don't think that helps when your ex moves on to somebody who looks absolutely nothing like you. I don't know whether I would have been more, not annoyed or offended, but like found it harder to see him with somebody new if they looked completely like me, or if they had like blonde hair, big boobs, big bum, and looked completely different. His girlfriend is completely different to me, and she is very petite, very slim, and the pressure came from there too. That's where the pressure came from, because it was like, I look nothing like her. Do I need to shrink my body down? And again, I am so okay with saying this online because these are the things that people shy away from because they do not want to be vulnerable. So people that you listen to that talk about their breakups online do not want to be as vulnerable as I am. But I don't mind saying this because these are the thoughts that go through your head. You then look at their girlfriend and think, or you look at the person that they moved on with, or the person that they cheated on you with or had an affair with, and you think, I don't look anything like that. And because you are in this horrible, horrible torment of, I just want them back, I just want them back, I just want them back. The pressure of this glow up and the pressure to shrink yourself, or the pressure to be completely different, or the pressure to dye your hair, or the pressure to change your style, oh my God, it massively comes from you. And this is the one thing that I always talk about. It's your mind. At the end of the day, you have control over that. Are you telling yourself that you need to be skinnier and you need to be stopping what you're eating, you need to lose weight because your ex's new girlfriend or your ex's new boyfriend looks completely different to what you look like, and you are trying to convince yourself that if you just looked like them, then they would come back to you? Or are you thinking about nourishing the body that is getting through the hardest time of your life? Are you thinking, I need to eat today because I am emotionally exhausted? I need to eat today because I have a stress headache. I need to drink more water because I am dehydrating myself because I am crying that much. I physically think I'm going to run out of tears. Are you punishing yourself for something that you haven't done anything wrong in? You've done nothing wrong with this. You are you. And when this question kept landing in my inbox, it was like, I could sit here and say the pressure comes from society and blame society and tell you how to block society out. I didn't want to do that. I wanted you to take away really valuable bits of information that you might not have ever thought about. The pressure to glow up, yes, it does come from society. Yes, it does come from people waiting in anticipation, and I'll get onto that in a second. But part of it does come from what you're telling yourself. You're telling yourself you need to glow up because you're comparing yourself. And all of that just stems around a confidence issue. And that is okay. Your confidence is going to take a battering and it's going to be knocked. The way you block out the glow up noise is by rebuilding the confidence that you have in yourself, is by knowing that going to the gym is beneficial for your mind, is knowing that nourishing your body properly with food is beneficial for you to be able to get through the enormous amount of stress that your body is going through at the moment. Do you know the impact that your stress hormone has on your body? The amount of videos that I look back on and the puffiness in my face, oh my God. Cortisol, Jesus Christ, I'm unrecognizable. And my sisters will say to me, like, I'm like, look how puffy I am here. My sisters are like, what are you talking about? compared to now, like where I'm not stressed every single day of my life and not crying my eyes out. My God, the difference is colossal. It's huge. Your brain and your body needs support. So instead of asking yourself, like, how do I lose weight quickly? How am I going to glow up quickly? Because they're the things that you're asking yourself. Think, how am I going to nourish my body to be able to get through today? And the best thing that my therapist ever said to me around like my eating and stuff was that you are not a project that needs fixing. Nothing about you needs fixing. You are not a project that needs to shrink. You are not a project that needs work on. You are not a project. You are a person that needs caring for. You are. And when nourishment and healthy movement becomes a goal, your healing feels easier. You take the pressure off. You take that glow up pressure off. That goes. Because like I said, it is coming from you. The pressure to glow up is coming from you. It's what you're teaching yourself. And yeah, it is coming from people, what people are saying to you. And like I said, I'll come on to that in a second. But it stems from you. If you change the goal, if you think about how much you need to care for your body in order for you to get through this horrendous event, your whole mindset will start shifting. And I don't know whether I talk about this on my Patreon. I definitely cover it in a chapter in the book that I'm writing. But I went to see someone about having my chin done. I think I was looking at having Botox. I was looking at having loads of stuff done. I tell the story on my Patreon, I think. And I am so grateful for that nurse every day. Every day. She said to me, when did you go through your breakup? And I was like, she followed me online. What's going on here? She went, when did you go through your breakup? I was like, and my eyes started to fill with water. And she said, I knew it. She said, the amount of girls that sit in front of me and want to change their entire appearance after their breakup. And she says, I just refuse to do it. And I was like, oh my God. She said, I'm not treating you today. And I was like, since then, I haven't touched my face until recently. This was obviously 4 years ago. I have since had work done, but very, very small amounts of work done for my smile lines and the fact that I love sitting in the sun and just certain aging issues that all women are a little bit conscious about. But I don't want to change my face. I wanted to go in there and get a whole new face. I felt like I had to have a whole new face. I felt like I had to basically have this massive transformation, and she clocked it straight away. And she gave me my deposit money back, everything. And I was like, oh my God, I feel like I've really wasted your time. And she was like, no. And I remember my mum saying to me, oh my God, I'm so grateful for that nurse that you went to. I know not every nurse is the same, but I am so grateful that I went to that nurse. There was a reason why our paths cross. And like I said, I talk about it in the book that I'm eventually going to write. That's been an ongoing project. God knows I've got to have time to finish it. But so moving on, I've battered you a little bit, saying the pressure has come from within. The pressure can also come from outside. And so I'm going to talk about that as well, because there is certain noise that comes from the people around you. And a lot of the breakup, glow up culture does come from people who are sat online looking at trends. Obviously, like the post breakup glow up, it is online. People like getting into new relationships. You see people with brown hair and then going completely blonde, and like the divorce effect, and people like completely shedding a shit ton of weight and looking amazing. I saw this girl actually last night. She had like this device on her chin that was like making her chin more pointy. She called it the divorce effect. It's everywhere, and you can become consumed by it. And that will then be heightened when you are also met with it face to face from the people outside your secure bubble of friends. And I think that it comes a lot from people that are insecure, people who are addicted with their own appearances, people that think that there's winning and losing in relationships. Honestly, I could do a whole other episode of like the amount of people that looked at me and thought that I'd lost and still think that I'm losing because I'm not in a relationship. It's so bizarre. And people that are like just weirdly over invested in other people's lives. And you have to learn how to block that out. And the greatest bit of advice I ever saw, read, I can't remember who gave it to me, but people that are secure do not need your relationship for their entertainment. People who are totally secure with their lives do not look at you and say, oh my God, the post-breakup glow-up's going to be insane. They are not the people that you need in your life. Not one person around me that I care about, that I know care about me, ever mentioned going through a post-breakup glow-up. Ever. They just didn't, because they knew that I didn't need it. And they knew that that was just stupid advice. People that are grounded do not need you to almost perform for them. And people who are going to give you the best advice are people that have been through similar situations to you. So people that have been through breakups and that can give you genuine advice are not going to stand there and say your post-breakup glow-up's going to be insane. They will understand that inner peace is so much more beneficial than a dramatic transformation. And I am going to be self-aware again here. I used to be awful for this. Absolutely awful. If I'd seen somebody whilst I was in a relationship go through a breakup, I'd be like, oh my God, the post-breakup glow, insane. And now when I think back, was that because I was insecure within my own relationship? Probably a little bit. And there was a lot of things that I've unpacked in therapy and done shadow work about and through on myself that has been really uncomfortable work. I even know whose relationship now from years ago that broke up. I know that I became fixated on how this girl changed her whole identity because of her ex leaving. And it was entertaining for me. And now I know that when people come to me and talk to me about their breakups, especially like face to face, like maybe I'm bumping into somebody in the pub that says they've gone through a breakup, I ask about how they feel. I ask if they're like getting external help. I don't say, oh my God, you look amazing. I bet he really berates himself every day for losing you. I don't say those things anymore because I am a healed person that has gone through something. Because I'm a healed person that's gone through a breakup that understands that there are so much more mental battles and mental healing that you need to do whilst going through a breakup than going to war with your physical appearance. It's just unnecessary. So you have to ask yourself, whose standards are you trying to meet here? The people that are judging are probably the least qualified people to guide you through your breakup. And I'm just going to ask you something as well to give you a point to think about. If these people around you are putting pressure on you to glow up and are saying stuff like, insane stuff like, make yourself look insane, get an insane body, dye your hair, get worked into your face, and make him regret what he's lost, those are the people that you need to cut completely out of your life. Your physical appearance does not mean anything to your worth. The fact that they have lost you and the person, how you physically look, and the person that you are will haunt them forever. And so you might have listened to this episode and thought, well, I can't measure that. The thing I can measure is how I look in the mirror every morning. I can't measure my mind. Wrong. You can. A real glow up might include fitness. It might include your changing the way you dress. I talk about that all the time. I went into dressing like my best friend who was 10 years younger than me. And then I was like, no, probably going to go back to dressing like a 30-year-old now. It might include external change. Like I dyed my hair. I've always wanted to dye my hair. I always wanted to be a blondie. I always wanted to get blonde put through my hair. But my ex insisted that he did not like blondes. Therefore, I did not dye my hair blonde. The minute I kind of got my little bit of mojo back, straight on the phone to my best friend, we're dyeing my hair blonde. I say we're dyeing my hair blonde, but I just had like my front bits done. And now I've gone back to being brunette. A lot of people have commented on me being brunette, and I think I'm going to stay brunette for a while, although I am toying with going blonde a little bit in the summer, but hopefully my hair will lift anyway. Your glow up might include all of that. It can include all of that. It's not anything bad. Wanting to go to the gym, like I've said, wanting to nourish your body, absolutely fine. Wanting to change your style, great. Wanting to dye your hair, change things up a bit, okay. Wanting to get a little bit of Botox, all right, that's totally okay. We're not demonizing those things. They are all things that you can externally measure. And I get it all the time. It's like, well, how do you glow up your mind, and how do you know that? You do know that. And I will tell you how you know that, because the deepest glow up comes from no longer chasing clarity. So when you are triggered by somebody saying something, or your ex has said something, and you think, I'm not going to get clarity on this situation, you don't chase it. And you are totally okay with not getting the clarity on that situation. It looks like no longer chasing someone who has withdrawn from you. So finding inner peace. It looks like no longer abandoning yourself to be chosen. So being okay with not being somebody's first choice, and being like, okay, and allowing them to lose out on you, and no longer feeling like you need to get revenge to feel worthy. Like no longer thinking that you need to prove that they have lost out. And this does go away. You don't think, I'm going to do that because my ex is going to see. I'm going to do this because my ex is going to see and think this. I'm doing that because my ex will see, and he'll assume that, or she'll assume that. You just do things because you want to do them, not because you want revenge. You want to be able to make your ex jealous. All of these things measure how you are mentally glowing up. And yet people say to me, you can't measure that. You absolutely can. Your life starts to look calmer. Your self-respect grows. You become more confident in saying no to situations. You become more confident in speaking up on situations. And that radiates out. Your confidence radiates out of you. And then people say, and you may have not touched your appearance. You may still look exactly the same since the day that they left you. You look exactly the same. And people will say, you look great. Because you've done the inner work, and the confidence radiates out of you. So if you are feeling the pressure to glow up, and you've listened to this episode and you've thought, oh my God, I understand now that a lot of the pressure comes from within, you actually have the most amount of control from where the most amount of pressure is coming from. You have control over your own mind. If you switch how you are approaching the situation, how you're approaching going to the gym, how you're approaching nourishing your body, and who you are allowing to comment on your breakup, you actually can control a lot of it, and the pressure comes off. And it is totally okay to feel engulfed by society pressures, online, everything. You do not have to do anything to prove anything to anyone. What happened to you and your ex is about your relationship and how they handle their emotions. And whilst you cannot control what they did, you can control what you build from it. And that is a healthier mind, a healthier lifestyle, healthier coping mechanisms, all these things that people expect you to do to get in shape and have this glow up can actually be used to form really good coping mechanisms, really strong structure in your life, and actually help you and guide you get through a really, really tough time. I hope you've enjoyed that episode. I've really enjoyed talking about it actually, and I hope that you've got some value out of it, and that I've come it from a way where I've not just spoken about online pressures, because you can't do anything about that. You can change your algorithm, but you can't stop that sort of blow of like the Instagram and TikTok and stuff and people telling you to glow up, but you can get a control of your mind. If you want me to cover anything, please just drop me a DM. If you want me to chat to you, again, just reach out. Like I said, I try and answer my messages around once a week. If you want more content from me, then you can head over to my Patreon and sign yourself up. If not, guys, I will speak to you next week. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.